creating a business plan for franchising your business. So if you're thinking about franchising your business or you just started, is there a business plan that you should be following? And of course, the answer is yes, but it may not be what you think it is. And it's certainly not the static document or paper that franchise developers are trying to sell or handing to new franchisors. Your franchise business plan, your growth strategy, it needs to be dynamic, it needs to reflect real world data, and it needs to develop over time. Coming up next. Of course, every business needs a strategy and plan. And if you're franchising your business, we need a plan. But it's not what everyone thinks. It's not some static piece of paper. It's not some document that you're going to develop in the first 90 days of franchising your business and then you're done, right? We're on a journey, and hopefully this channel, our videos, they're all devoted to helping you achieve your franchise growth goals. And hopefully they're part of your franchising journey. And as you go through that journey, helping you unlock and decipher your growth pathway, your franchise success. And so the point of this video and what I'm going to share is that your franchise business plan, your franchise growth strategy, it needs to be dynamic. It needs to evolve over time. It needs to receive real world feedback and adjust as you become a franchisor, as you try to sell franchises, as you successfully sell your first franchise and beyond that. So your business plan, your franchise growth business plan, it needs to be process driven. It needs to be dynamic, and it needs to be reactive to real world inputs, real world feedback that you're receiving from the franchising marketplace. It's not some static document, and it's not the end result. It's a process, right? So what we want to avoid is having a document that creates a false sense of security. We want to avoid a document or plan that some developer prepares based on very generic assumptions that really don't reflect your brand or modern franchise growth strategy. And we need a plan that is going to evolve over time. So as you're considering your franchise growth strategy, your franchising business plan, something we work with our clients on, but not as an end result, as a process as they go through their franchising journey. What you should be focused on now, if you're thinking about franchising your business or you're brand new to franchising, is number one, we want to start with an honest franchise assessment. Two, we want to understand and own the steps to franchising your business. Three, you want to launch your franchise organically, and I'll explain that. And four, we want to apply and develop a dynamic 12-month planning process. That's how we're going to create our franchise business plan. It's going to evolve over time. You initially begin becoming a franchisor, and at the beginning of that process, we're going to assess franchisability. And certainly if we're going down the pathway of franchising, how to develop and make your franchise system unique. What's our value proposition? What's our opportunity profile? What's our overall franchise assessment as to how we're going to fit into the franchise world and how we need to position, right? That's going to be critical to our business plan. Two, you need to understand and own the steps to franchising your business. And for sure, while we take care of all that and we go through the franchising process, it's an important learning experience, and it's important to have your input both today as you franchise and to keep monitoring and evaluating. And we'll talk about each of those steps. Three, something we talk about so often, you need to launch organically. Let the marketplace react to your new franchise offering, and let's monitor and evaluate the reactions. Are you getting organic interest? Are your friends, family asking about your franchise investment? And then last is let's apply a rolling and dynamic business plan, right? So what's so frustrating to me is these new franchisors come to us for help, and we help, and they're great people. But they're like, I have this business plan that some developer prepared, and I've been following it. And when we look at the business plan, it's just generic. It doesn't reflect real world data. I mean, your business plan is going to react and adapt. If on day one of selling franchises or in the first 3 months, you get overwhelming interest from your customers, your community, and we sell our first 2 or 3 franchises out of the gate, say in the first 6 months or 12 months, and it happens organically, Well, that's significantly going to impact your business plan, right? It's going to influence, well, we don't need that much budgeting to attract franchisees. And now let's focus our budgeting on servicing and supporting those franchisees and helping them get open. If during your initial launch period we're not receiving strong organic interest, then the business plan needs to adapt and we need to start evaluating where are we going to spend marketing dollars? Do we build up brand campaigns? Do we build up brand story? What's the expectations there? There's a bunch of give and take and reaction. And the best time to prepare a very detailed business plan or to keep adapting our business plan is during those first 12 months of you being a new franchisor. Now, what happens if we get false data? So we get new franchisors that come to us and say, hey, I follow the business plan. I'm a franchisor. I've tried to sell franchises, but we don't have good data. We didn't test different marketing mediums. We didn't test organic interest. They don't have a good franchise sales website. They have the generic developer franchise sales website. And why is that bad? Because we don't have market data to start evaluating. Meaning, if your franchise sales website is bad, maybe you do have organic reach and you do have organic interest. But the problem is that when they get to your franchise sales website, they're not convinced or they're turned away. So we need to launch the right way. And we'll go through each of these steps. So number one, we want to start with an honest franchise assessment. So if you haven't franchised your business yet, and we're going to go through the process, we need to be evaluating, should you franchise your business? What are your short-term and long-term goals? And then as we franchise, what are the unit economics of your franchise offering? How do they align with what we believe and what we're going to plan for to be good fit franchisees? How do your unit economics, how do your differentiators, how do they align and compete in the franchise world? How are we different than other franchise opportunities? And then of course, we want to talk about capital. How much capital and money do we have to invest in your franchise? And of course, that's going to vary also, right? Because it all depends on your goals, right? If during the first 2 years, our goal is to sell 5 franchises organically, that's a very different budget than if we want to sell 15 franchises and we have to amp up paid media. But even there too, as we're talking about business plans, as we launch your franchise, we need to see how the marketplace reacts, right? If you're in an industry that's a novel industry, there's a lot of white space, there's pent-up demand, strong item 19. We've had plenty of clients where they've sold their first 10 franchises without really spending money on their franchise sales development budget, right? Where it's just come about organically. And then we've had other clients where they've had to really earn their franchise sales. No matter what, we want to be building out a great website, a great brand story, and we want to launch the right way. And then what happens next is, how's the marketplace reacting? So number one, as we're building our franchising business plan, for you, if you haven't franchised your business yet, and even if you've just gone through the process, we want to have an honest franchise assessment, which covers the should you franchise through, well, we franchise, but now what's our differentiators? What makes us unique? And that's point number one. Two, you need to understand as we're building your franchising business plan, you need to understand and own the steps to franchising your business. And not just today as you become a franchisor, but ongoing, because this should be a process that keeps evolving and improving. As we work with our clients and we launch in a very strong way, we're positioning the brand, we're positioning the unit economics, we're aligning the franchise offering with our good fit franchisee opportunity profile. But along the way, we want to, again, be reacting to market data, how brokers are reacting, how franchise buyers are reacting, questions they may have about item 19, questions they may have about the FDD. We want a continuous evolutionary improvement process. But the steps to franchising your business, and guys, please keep in mind, these are legal steps. It frustrates me so much. We have conversations, or these franchise developers are out there, they're packaging all this stuff together. They're not lawyers, they're not law firms, and they're treating FDDs as if they're not legal documents when they are. And I'll tell you why it's important. Because 5 years from now, as you work extremely hard in building a franchise system, if it's challenged by franchisee plaintiffs' attorneys, or if you're in a private equity deal, we need to make sure our legal is right. Otherwise, we've built on a faulty foundation. But the steps to franchising your business: franchise assessment, FDD development, operations manual preparation, registering your trademarks with United States Patent and Trademark Office, establishing your franchise company, registering your FDD, and what we're talking about now, creating a sales strategy and budget, which are going to be the initial foundational points we're going to talk about as we become a new franchisor that we work with our clients. But again, it needs to be dynamic. I see spreadsheets and tables that show new franchisors, hey, it's going to cost us X dollars per franchise sale, or here's my franchise developer fee, and here's the assumption that we sell X number of franchises, but it doesn't work. Again, we need our base plan as we franchise our business. We need to be positioned the right way. We're doing all these things. And now our planning process, I guess the big takeaway for this video is it needs to occur over the next 12 months and the next 24 months. And it needs to keep evolving. So we need the foundational building blocks. And we help that by understanding the steps to franchising your business. And remember, it's legal. It's the FDD, your franchise agreements, your FDD registration. These are all legal processes. And, working with over 300 franchisors, our team, not only are we putting together the legal, but we're also putting together a development strategy. What sells in FDDs? What does strong item 19 look like? What's the deep dive data that we want to be displaying in your item 19? What's our territory structures? All the things we're going to be planning out and working on together. And again, those two, they may adapt and evolve over time. Step 3, we're looking to build our business plan, which again is not a destination. It's a process. It's not static. Assess your franchisability. We positioned your franchise offering. We've gone through the steps to franchising your business. And as we go through all of this, we're building plans and strategy, right? Your mindset, your knowledge is evolving. Now we make different decisions. Well, now your FDD's issued. We're ready to sell franchising. Launch organically. And when I say organically, what I'm referring to is we're not yet spending money on paid marketing ads. We're not asking some development people to answer your phone calls. We now have a good website. Your website should be telling your brand story, right? And we have a great workshop on that. So when someone comes to our website, we have a transformative headline. We have 3 uniques. We have clarity about who we're a good fit for. Your story is there. And so we know we have a website that's going to foster the next step of the conversation. So we're launching organically, meaning announcements on your social media, communicating with friends and family, and take the next 3, 6, 12 months to keep building up our media, keep building up our story, talking about your journey. And let's evaluate what's the organic interest you have in your brand. Do you have customers, friends, family asking about buying a franchise? And if that's the case, that becomes an important learning point. And of course, we want to sell a franchise because now you get to see how the market is reacting to your franchise offering, our franchise fee, what we're offering in the marketplace, what you have on your website. We need to be monitoring and evaluating this together because then we could build the next step of your business plan. If we close a couple of deals, then the next step of the business plan is going to be focused on what does support look like? How do we help them get up and running? How do we tell these new franchisee stories? If we have trouble converting those sales, or as we prepare, well, we're going to have prepared for the franchise sales discovery process, but then the next step of the process is going to be about our discovery process. Do we want to onboard a team member? Do we want to onboard a franchise sales organization? How do we train, which is something I believe you should be doing, training internally to understand the sales process and as we work together, build out your development discovery process. You just can't pass the baton yet to someone else to do all these things for you. The heart and soul of your franchise is in you. And we need to convert those initial franchisees, those organic franchisees. But how we launch organically, assuming we've done everything we're supposed to, in terms of the steps to franchising your business, launching the right franchise sales website, building out the right franchise discovery process, all things we help with and we coach on long-term. Now let's see how the marketplace reacts. And now let's take our measurement period. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 12 months. But how the marketplace reacts is going to determine the next step of our business plan, where we're going to deploy capital, whether or not we should be using paid media, whether or not we're a business and brand where brokers are going to play an important role in our franchise sales process. And if so, when to join a broker group and what broker group to join. Now, it'd be great to get involved with franchise brokers after we've sold a couple of franchises. We have validation, we have story. So all of these things are going to build layers on top of each other, which gets to the last point, which is that we need your franchise business plan. And the process of preparing it is not something that someone hands to you at the end when you get your FDD. It needs to be a product of a dynamic planning process. Let's say a dynamic 12-month planning process. So franchising your business is a process, not a destination. After your FDD is issued, after you start engaging in the marketplace, offering franchises, attending conferences, coming to some of our conferences, speaking with brokers, getting introductions to broker groups. Now's the time to evaluate and monitor what's the market feedback to your franchise offering, because that's going to dictate how we adjust and apply your franchise growth strategy, your franchise growth business plan. So market feedback data that we want to be monitoring and adapting to and dynamically adjusting to. Well, what's the organic interest in your brand? Our friends, family, customers, are they interested in buying a franchise? What do those conversations look like? What questions do they have when they go to your website, when they review your franchise sales materials? All things we coach on and work on together. 2, do you have organic franchise sales? So over this period of time, have we sold franchises? And again, we have clients, compelling brand story, attractive franchise offering. Out of the gate, first 6 months, sell 5 franchises. My advice there, depending on budget, our business plan, something we need to discuss and evolve into. Well, if our budget is limited and our capability and team is limited, and you've sold 3 or 4, my advice maybe pause your franchise sales. Now let's focus on supporting and over supporting your new franchisees, getting them up and running, making them successful. Because as a growth strategy, as a business plan, if they get up and running, if they validate well and they perform well, well, then we're going to have a much easier time selling franchises in the future. And it's a different trajectory and different pathway. And which gets to, do we engage in paid franchise sales? And if we do, what does the ROI look like? And again, budgeting, market reaction. We're going to start with a budget. We're going to start with base assumptions, but we want to test the market. We want to see the organic reaction to your franchise brand. There's a bigger point here, which I'm trying to figure out why I'm bringing up these other steps as you build your franchise business plan, your franchise assessment, understanding the steps to franchising your business. And the reason is that there's too many new franchisors that haven't completed the development process the right way. And I'll blame some franchise developers out there. Their franchise assessment was misaligned, and maybe they shouldn't have franchised, which becomes a much bigger issue. But if they did, and they should franchise, and we redo a number of franchise systems, if it's not positioned the right way, if you don't have the right territory structures, maybe you're a brand, say a home service-based business that should be more focused on broker sales, or a restaurant, brick and mortar business that's not going to be broker dependent. Well, during the franchising process, if they didn't assess and position the franchise the right way, once you enter the marketplace and you're evaluating the reaction to your new franchise, you may be getting false positives and false negatives. You may not be getting real world data because your marketing medium may be right. Maybe your organic reach is great. Maybe customers love your brand or friends and family. But as they react and evaluate your website, your discovery process, the positioning of your FDD, they don't convert. And so you get a false reading where you think you now need to be spending much more money on budgeting and paid media and maybe all these other things, when the real problem is your FDD, how you position your franchise offering. So we want to get all these things right. We don't want a big package of generic everything. And you want to experience and understand this as you go through the franchising process, as you grow your franchise system, so we could adapt real time, dynamically, and achieve franchise success, real success. And if you'd like to learn more, reach out. Let's discuss your business plan.